Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to be painting this scene, which is a kind of cute landscape. What we've got here is a red cardinal on the top of a mailbox, which is overflowing with parcels, surrounded by plants and things, and in the distance a little house and some mountains. This is a sketch I did of it this is the sketch for you, which we will upload to the website dianeantone.com, and this is the sketch upon which I am going to paint. I'm using a piece of Meaden watercolor paper here. This is what do you call it? Cold press, I think, or could be rough. This one here, I happen to have this pad of rough, cold press and hot press all in one block. I've worked my way through the rough. I think this is probably the last sheet or the next to last. I think it's the last actually. I'll be onto the cold press next, but of course you can separate them and work on them independently, as I have done here. I've just taken out the dividing sheet, and you can then go ahead and work on the hot press if you want. It's quite nice to try the hot press sometimes, just for a change. It is different. It does give a completely different effect from the cold press or the rough. Rough and cold are kind of very similar. There's not much difference in this particular type of paper. There are other brands of paper where the rough and the regular cold are very different. And the rough is much rougher, but this is pretty much indistinguishable, to be honest. So I'm using that. I'll be painting that in a minute, and shortly we'll be uploading that for you. We have changed our system for providing you with your free sketches. I know it's a little bit complicated, and I do apologise for that, but there's nothing we can do about it. And poor Tamsin is tearing out her hair. There are so many restrictions nowadays on websites as to what they can do regarding accepting payments or not accepting payments, and PayPal has got really difficult, so we're going to have to discontinue PayPal for purchases. You can still go ahead and make donations, and we're going to figure out a system whereby you can get your insider pass by making a donation rather than an actual payment through PayPal. But so it is functioning, the whole thing is functioning, and if you've already bought your $1 pass, you get your free 10, and you can have more than 10 if you're in the top tiers of memberships. So you can still get your free, your sketches for free. If you want to just go ahead and pay the $1 or $2 that they cost, that's much simpler, and you can do that. And of course, we also have the bundles and the colouring books and all those other things too available for you to purchase. Yeah, so I know it's a little bit complicated, but you know, if you just put a little bit of thought into it, and ask questions if you need to. I'm always there, or Tamsin is, to answer the questions. If you just email us at studio@dianeantone.com or admin@dianeantone.com. It may take us a few hours to get back to you. And don't forget, sometimes we're kind of half a day ahead of you or behind you, depending on where you live. So sometimes I get messages in the middle of the night, and so we can't really respond completely immediately to those, but we do our best. So anyway, I just want to ask for you to be a little bit patient if you're having issues, and don't give up, but just you know, keep asking, and we will help you out. We're only trying to do this for your benefit, really. So let's do this painting, shall we? I'm going to use today not my Kuretake set. Just for a change, I'm going to use this Paul Rubens set, which is the 5th generation watercolors in these two lines here. You've seen me talk about this before for sure. These are the Paul Rubens ones, this row here and this row here, as you get them when you buy a 24 set. They do a 48 set now too, which is also very good. It's a bit bigger, obviously. And in the middle space here, which they intended you to put a brush in, I have put some of my Michael Harding watercolors, which are, to tell you the truth, they obviously are better than Paul Rubens, even though the Paul Rubens ones are pretty good and are touted as being professional. The Michael Harding ones most definitely are, and so I use those as well. And I've got, I don't know how many have I got, 20 of them I think, not a full set or anything like it. But I do recommend them if you feel like you want to spend a little bit more money on your paints. Maybe you live in England and Daniel Smith are more expensive over there, or even in Europe, and you don't want Schminke. For example, if you live in France, buying things from Germany are difficult. It's very difficult buying anything from any other EU country. Have you noticed, people who live in France? Yes, because of all the taxation restrictions that they've put in place, which make it almost impossible to buy anything, because nobody wants to go through all that rigmarole of setting up VAT for different countries. All the different countries have different VAT regulations, and oh my God, it's just such a nightmare. It makes you want to go and live on a desert island somewhere. Rant over. Let's get started. I'm going to use a not particularly big brush. I'm going to use this number 8 round. This is a Draw Well from Japan. You can get them direct if you follow the instructions below in the description. And I'll also need a smaller one. This is a 5, I think. Yep, so a 5 and an 8 should be about right. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paint the sky and the mountains in a very in a light colour. Oh, I should tell you where I got this idea from. This is another one from my friend Denise in California, and yesterday or the day before we did this one, which you will have seen, and that was based on a Christmas card that she liked and she sent it to me, and my version is a little bit different. So watch that video if you haven't already seen it. This, she sent the photo, and I've used this photo for my drawing. This is a tea towel, a dish towel for washing up, for drying up the dishes, drying the dishes. I'm trying to say it in English and in American, because we call them tea towels. I think you call them dishcloths, do you? For us, a dishcloth is something you wash the dishes with. I don't know whether you call those dish towels or dishcloths. Anyway, let me know in the description below. Help me learn American. I know about trunks and things like that, because that's a completely different thing in America to what it is in England. Anyway, so that's the colour scheme that I'm going to use, something like that, and that's the inspiration for this painting. There's no sky in that painting, there's sky in mine, so I'm going to do the sky in light blue, I think. And let's get the water a bit closer. And right, okay, so let's sit down a bit. I haven't got the paper in its block at the moment. This is a loose sheet that came out by accident, so maybe I should tape it down. Perhaps I'll grab some washi tape and give it a... I'm never quite sure about doing this, because for one reason, once I taped it to the desk, so that is thoroughly stupid. I won't do that. Just a sec. Bear with me while I get myself organised. I need some kind of board. Right, this is just a backing board from an empty block of Meaden paper. So I'm going to attach this sheet to that. This washi tape, which came, I think, oh, I'm not sure. This might have been bought at Teddy. It could have come from Craftmo. I think it might be Craftmo. It's pretty rubbish. Anyway, so that's going to hold that down, and it does, like that, allow me to turn it round if I need to. Never quite sure. So that should hold it more or less flat. It's not as good as when it's in its original block though. Okay, so let us wet the sky and the mountains. Let's do that, more or less. And then I'm going to pick up some, this is Verdita Blue, which is a nice soft blue from Michael Harding. And you can see the Michael Harding colour very nicely, just blending nicely into a sort of nice light, slightly cloudy kind of sky. And then I'm going to leave the mountains to dry. I might just put a tiny dab of soft white on there. That's a soft white from, again, Daniel Smith. It's really a kind of very, very pale ivory kind of colour. And when that's dry, I'm going to put in some sort of mountain rocks. This is a painting I did some time ago. I think this is about 3 Christmases ago. And you see the effect of the crags, the rocky crags on the mountain there. That's really very easy to do. And I'm going to just do a couple on that when that back piece is dry. So we've put a pale, pale white in there. Then I will put in some very pale blue shadows like those. And then come in with quite dark grey and just put in these irregular sort of rocky things. This is a typical David Bellamy thing. And Bellamy, here we are. I have recently organised my shelves behind me, and I've got everything in alphabetical order now. So when I want to refer to a book and talk about a book to you, I can just turn around, and once I've got the name of the person in my head, I can find it really easily. This is a book, I believe this is probably still in print. David Bellamy was huge in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, and he probably still sells really well. I'm pretty sure he's still alive, but he's knocking on a bit. Anyway, this is a great book, was very influential for me, and he has a way, you see, of doing mountains, very dramatic, and that's all he does. It's not all he does, I don't mean that. I mean, that's how he paints them. Here we are, came to the right page. You put in the shadow in a very light blue or grey, and then once that's completely dry, you paint in the rocky crags. And yeah, so he does quite a lot of landscapes like that. They're not all in this book. He's got some nice paintings in here though. So this is a good, oh there we are, that's a good one. That's a good one to show you. Isn't that impressive? This is typical Snowdon in North Wales. This is typical Snowdon country. I went to university up there. Actually, that's the Italian Dolomites, but it's the same. He often paints in Wales. Yeah, so anyway, that's that. I'll put a link to this book in the description below in case you're interested. I have mentioned him before, I know, but there's always new people coming along. And to be quite honest, some of these older books are really, really worthwhile having to learn from, because there's much more meat in them, if you know what I mean, than there is in some of the newer ones, which are, you know, okay, so fine, we'll just say it's for beginners, but even beginners need to actually have some content, don't they? Right, so the other thing I'm going to use to do this painting, which I should have mentioned, is in order to do the details on the parcels, I'm not going to try and do those with paint because that's really quite hard. So I'm going to use some of these Poetique brush pens. I don't think Poetique actually are available at the moment, but there are lots of coloured brush pens out there, and they have absolutely pinpoint tips to the brush part of the pen, and they're very vivid, and I don't know whether they are light fast when you're thinking in terms of, you know, many years. Probably not, but to be honest, seriously, and that that gives you a lot more control in small areas, a lot more control. Okay, so I think we've got snow on the top of the mailbox, and I'm going to paint the mailbox around the snow and leave it white, and we'll try to do the snow by reserving the whites. We've got some greenery down here, like some fir branches and some, oh, I don't know, some holly with some red berries and things, which I just indicated there. Then we've got our red cardinal here on the top of the mailbox and little cottage over there. So this is one of those paintings that is kind of a cute bit of nothing serious. So let us start with the mailbox, because it's still damp up here. It's one of those days I've just turned the air conditioning off because I don't want it to make a background noise, because that's annoying, isn't it? And so it's starting to cool down a bit here. Okay, so I'm going to start with red for the mailbox. I'm going to go over my writing. And let's go up to here. I'll try to paint round that holly leaf. The other thing you could use for your finer details is acrylic brush pens. These Poetique ones are watercolor, but there is such a thing as acrylic ones. Okay, so that's the bottom part. And you can put your highlights on using acrylic white, or you can use white gouache if you want to remain more, what's the word? More traditional watercolor based rather than going into mixed media. Okay, so we need to put some really dark a dark colour behind the, I'm not going to do that yet though because it'll run. Yeah, I'll save that for later. And then for the post we want some brown, dark reddish brown, something like this. And just drop in a bit of that dark colour here and there. Okay, and yeah, we can go round the bottom of these parcels here with this dark colour. And let's pick up some red. Okay, so now we do definitely need to let this whole thing dry before we go any further with that. So let's see, I think I'll just get the hairdryer to speed things up a little bit. Okay, so let's go back up to the sky, and we need our very, I'm going to just unashamedly check my what do you call it, my example of how to paint crags on the tops of mountains. And just kind of very lightly, it's all important, the lightness. And then we have to let that dry too. now, and then we'll come in with the dark shades. And I think let's put some of that blue here in the shadow around the house. And we will do more on here probably, but let's just put a little bit of blue shadow on the snow. Okay, and then we've got, oh yes, what I wanted to do with that also was to go around the back of the house roof like this, and the tree. Okay, and we let that dry as well. And maybe we've got a path going up there, so we can put sort of indicator of snow drifts and things as we go down here. Not worrying too much about the perspective. All right, now while that dries, we can go to the red cardinal. So we just colour him in basically, and then we can put a little bit more shadow. Oh, I'll tell you what I did forget. I forgot the little thing here. You know, the little flag that goes up the side of the mailbox. So that's pretty much dry down there now. Let's go up to the house. And we'll do the wall here. If I had been thinking properly, I would have painted a light in the window first. But what I'll do is I'll wait for that to dry, and then I'll paint the light, probably using a pen of some sort, you know. And now we're going to make some green. And we've got this rather nice perylene green here. So we'll do the trees in Michael Harding's perylene green. You could use Hooker's green or phthalo green if you wanted to. Or sap green, dark sap, sap green deep. If you want to, when you paint your trees, you can leave gaps for the snow, or you can do what I've done here, partly because they're quite small, and you can just leave them without snow, or you can come back in later and put use some acrylic or some gouache to to simulate the snow. Okay, so that's the side of the house. Okie dokie. So with this dark colour, I'm just going to emphasise the shadow here under these gifts. Around the outside edge. And just add a second layer of colour. And I think we can make that red a bit darker, and then we can go along here. And maybe we can write in mail. And perhaps we'll just do a little bit of a border. Okay. And okay, that's that. Now, is he dry? Not quite. But this is, I think. So we'll go up there, and I think I'll use a dark blue. And somewhere around here, I've got my little colour swatch. It shows me what all these colours are, but I can't see it at the moment. So I'm going to try to remember, what's this colour here? Yeah, that looks like Payne's Grey. No, indigo, that's it. That's what I want. We'll use indigo mixed with a little bit of brown to do the crags up here. And we can start, well, you can either start at the top or you can start at the bottom, and you just want to dance over your light grey, different sizes. And this one, similar. That'll do, I think. Good enough. Let's put in his legs. Remember when you're doing birds that their legs always come from relatively far back. They're not near the front of the bird. Some people put them here. You want them at least as far back as where I've put them. Otherwise they just look really strange. And then we can try and do his little face in paint. Probably would be easier if I did it with a pen. So it's just a triangle. And then we'll do his beak with a pen, I think, because that's just so fiddly. Okay, and now let's see what next. Let's pick up a little bit more of our pale blue, and we'll just kind of indicate a little bit of shadow on the snow of the roof. And I'll come back to do the chimney. Okay, so while we're thinking blue, I'll go back to a bigger brush and we'll paint in some snow shadows here. We need the shadow of this big post and the box, so we'll just kind of do that. And then along the top of this kind of rutted path kind of thing, and I'm going to put a little bit of blue here and there, and then over the top of that we will, when it's dry, we'll paint the holly and everything. So I'm not painting too much over the white, so we want it to be plenty of white, and when we're finished with the painting we'll be able to decide whether or not these shadows should be darker. Okay, so what was I going to do? The parcels, yes. So let's find our pens, and we need a scrap piece of paper. There we are. Let's use this to paint this box. Okay, that's one box. And I suppose brown paper boxes, you know, tied up with string. These are a few of my favourite things. Okay, we do this one. And another colour. I think it does make it easier to do these fiddly little things, but it's not necessary. You can definitely use your regular paint. Okay, so then I'm going to use some That's pink, we don't want fluorescent pink. Purple, we don't want. Let's try a dark red. And I know, before anyone says it, obviously, if it's in the parcels, it's not going to have ribbon around it. But this is just imagination. Just my imagination running away with me. Okay, there are our boxes. While I have this red, I can do the berries for the holly. And I had a ribbon there, didn't I? Okay, that'll do. Then we need green, dark green for the holly. This really would be quite tricky to do because it's quite small, and on reflection, if I was going to be doing this design for a Christmas card or something, I would probably think about doing it quite a lot bigger and then having it reduced when it was printed. And then we need to go in the background here to do the shadow, and I'm thinking probably purple would be quite good. Let me go around here, and we can kind of go around here, and we can kind of go over here just a little bit. And just a little bit. And then I need an orange, bright orange, something like that for the beak. And we'll go to our black pen to do the little center of the eye, like that. I shouldn't have put my red away, should I? There we are, that's a red, good enough. And green, 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 green are all my branches. We can put some veins in here using this pen too. It's quite good. Maybe go around the outside edge to sharpen it up a little bit if this one is working a bit better than the other one. If you don't like the fact that that's very purple, we can go over that with green to make it look a little bit more brown. Okay, and oh yes, I said that I would put yellow in the light, and there's an open door, and we want some brown for the chimney. There we are. Okay, that's fine. Now, that tree is too dark, so we'll put snow on these ones like that. And the next thing, we're going to go back to our brush, and I'm going to put in some nice dark fir branches. Turn this round a bit. And let's find another different colour of green. Let's add some quinacridone gold to that green. And over here, we're going to do some nice leaves. Just using the number 5 brush here. And then a bit darker for the stem. And then maybe we'll go a little bit darker again, just altogether darker with a bit more quinacridone. And we'll put another piece over here. And then a few red berries. Right, and then I'm going to put a little bit more red in places on the mailbox. And what next? What have I forgotten? No, I don't think I've forgotten anything. We could make the bird a little bit redder just by putting another layer of brighter red over him like that. And I mean, you could possibly, you might feel you wanted to put a sprig of, maybe you need another tree here, for example. And maybe, I know what I need, my blue to strengthen the path here. So we just put some shadows in, and I wanted to sort of indicate that someone had walked up there, maybe the postman. Okay, so I think we're pretty much there. And this is the kind of painting that you could fiddle around with for quite a long time, improving it by going over the shadowy areas. I mean, we need a little bit of shadow underneath the bird. But we don't want to make it too blue, because then we'll lose the white of the snow, and what you can do, of course, here, you might want to indicate that snow has fallen down on that ledge, that ridge, and perhaps on the top here. And maybe a little bit here. And you could sort of improve the snow line there. And if it didn't work out right the first time, you can always go in with one of these and improve it. But I think that's probably good enough. You could also add some snowflakes into the sky if you wanted to. You could spatter that. If you did a darker sky, you might prefer it with a darker sky. It could look good with a dark sky, but that's what we have. You could come into your boxes, maybe with brown, actually. I don't have it. What did I do with them? Well, I can't, because I can't find it and I don't want to mess around. I did have some sepia. I think I must have taken them with me to Egypt and didn't bring them home. I did have some sepia pens, brown, you know, and that would have been quite good to just kind of outline these boxes to give them a bit more structure. But I haven't got them, so I'm just going to do it with a black pen. And that'll do. Right then, so there we are. That will do for now, I think. Let's take the tape off. And there we're done. And as I said before, the sketch is available. The sketch is available for you if you wish. That will be, when you see this video, that will be up for you as well. So there we are. There's our snowy scene with Red Cardinal, Cottage and the mailbox. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed doing your own version of the same kind of thing. I can see here where I ought to have put, I always do that whenever I pick it up. You might have noticed this, when I pick it up, the painting, I always think, oh, I should have put a bit more of this or that in the background. And probably if I was to mess around with this, I would make the sky a little bit darker. But it looks like a wintry sky to me anyway, so that's fine. And you could improve it probably also by going over it with pen and giving it a little bit more of an oomph. But yeah, there we are. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you again soon. And don't forget to tell me what you call a tea towel in America, please. Thank you very much. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.